What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table we have another Keyforge Age of Ascension sealed tournament video. This was played at Black Knight Games in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. On the left we have Robert, on the right we have John. This was a sealed pre-release tournament. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. If you have any constructive criticism you want to leave below to help future viewers of this video learn from our mistakes, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And be gentle. We're all new here. It's pre-release. We're all seeing a lot of the cards for the first time, so mistakes will be made, I'm sure. But we'll learn. We'll all get better. So we have Dominator starting out on the left, coming into play stun, of course, and a containment field slapped on him. So now, if he is used, he will be destroyed. And we have a Sky Booster Squadron on the right, dropping in. He has the Reap, and he'll be returned back to hand. And I think we had an Entropic Manipulator played down there. It's an action, gets an amber off it. Play, choose a player. You may redistribute the damage on the creatures that player controls among that player's creatures. You may cause more damage to a creature than it has power. So just a nice way to manipulate damage tokens on your opponent's creatures. That's good stuff. And there we have Barrister Joya, the one that says you cannot... enemy creatures cannot reap. We have Gatekeeper slapped down there. And in the middle, we have the Lion Botrim, the guy that's giving his neighbors +2 power each. And he does have the deploy keyword, so he can go down anywhere in the battle line. And then it looks like just for an amber playing Healing Blast. Since nobody has any damage on them, you can't heal them. But if they did have 4 or more damage and you healed that 4 damage, you would gain 2 amber. It's kind of like a mix between Virtuous Works and Vigor there in that card. In Sanctum. So this was a pre-release tournament. We did best 2 of 3. So if you haven't seen the first match in this best 2 of 3, go back and check those out. They're in a playlist at Rob's Gaming Table on YouTube. And then I'll be posting the rest of the videos of this series in that playlist also. So if you want to check those out, head on over there. And it looks like he just slapped down 3 Song of Springs just to gain the amber and throw them away. They are used to allow you shuffle any number of friendly untamed creatures from your hand, discard pile, or deck back or battle line back into your deck. It's just a way to seed those untamed creatures. Good late game card, I guess, if you want to use the untamed creatures from your deck or discard, and put them back into your deck, and especially when your deck's nice and small, and if you have some come into play effects, it's good, or just to get back some untamed presence on the board. And then you see Panpaka Jaga on the board there, and that is giving all creatures to the left skirmish, and it also has skirmish itself, 3 power. And now Robert on the left's doing Sanctum, and he's going to throw down the Grave Rider, who enables his neighbor there to ready and fight, and he's going to kill Panpaka Jaga and take 2 damage. Looks like 3 amber on the left, maybe 4 there. And on the right we have 4 amber. So we have a second containment field coming down there. There are 2 in John's deck. And it's got Agent Human coming into play. We know this guy. He basically has 2 power. He's a Martian and an agent. He's got elusive. And then when he reaps, you choose a friendly non-Mars creature and an enemy non-Mars creature and then stun those chosen creatures. And since John doesn't have any non-Mars creatures, he doesn't even have to choose anything, and he can stun a guy on the other side of the board. And you see a Think Drone down there on the right flank for John. We all know him from the first set. He's able to reap and archive a friendly, I believe, artifact or creature. So now we have Mars named on the left side there. He's playing Destroy Them All, which will allow him to destroy a creature, an artifact, and an upgrade. There are no artifacts in play, but there are 2 upgrades, so he'll be able to get rid of one of those containment fields, and he's going to destroy the Think Drone. That's an interesting choice as the creature, and he'll get off the Dominator his containment field. Looks like he's just going to leave Joya there just to use her passive effect and stop the opponent from reaping. And we see a custom virus and a combat pheromones played down there on the left side under the glare. 2 Mars artifacts. And we got Shockworm played down there, so when the opponent when the opponent does reap, if he ever can get rid of Joya, he'll have to stun his creatures after they reap. And then we have the Beam Buckler coming down there, dealing 2 damage to a creature, moving it to the flank. Of course, it dies right away. He hits Agent Human to take him off the board. Now over to John for some dis. He throws down a Lash of Broken Dreams, does a Binding Iron. It's going to deal his opponent 3 chains.
This deck doesn't really do much with anything with your Amber, unfortunately. You gain 3 chains.
It's like, so Shadow Self says, deals no damage.
Yeah, it's just, you gain 3 chains. No Amber, though. It should give me Amber. But you just get 3 chains.
It's pretty powerful. I feel like that's powerful enough. That's like, wow. Okay.
Tesmal, he's pretty cool.
And it looks like he played down a Tesmal. He has that Reap ability. Choose a house. Your opponent cannot choose that house as their active house on their turn. And then he throws down Old Yerk and has to discard 2 cards from his hand. Looks like a Bumblebird was discarded. And it looks like Robert was in check there with 6, so he does forge his first key. So we're now 1 keys to 0. And now we have Robert naming Sanctum after forging his key here. So he has more Sanctum cards in hand. And he has the Baron coming down. He's the guy that lets you sack, or basically discard Sanctum cards to make him capture Amber. And then we have the Armor Smith coming down, giving +1 armor to all of his friendly creatures. So Robert is building the wall here of creatures. They're all getting armor, tons of big bodies, stopping his opponent from reaping, and if his opponent does reap somehow, he'll be stunning him. Dominator with Taunt, protecting both of those anti-reap cards there. You see his battle line, very smart lineup there.
Do you have much of an Amber manipulation?
And he's got Lion Botrin there, giving +2 to the Gatekeeper, and Barrister Joya there to help keep her in play.
You don't really need it. Well, I guess that is Amber manipulation, really. Because that's just like that just stops me from getting any Amber.
So that's a loose.
Yeah, he's always so.
You're done? Okay. So I'm going.
We're still on Sanctum.
Yeah, it sounds like Robert is prioritizing the destruction of Tesmal here.
With Gatekeeper.
He's going to reap with Gatekeeper, take an Amber. And he's going to use the Grey Monk. I like this little combo. Using the Grey Monk to fight an elusive. He's only 2 power, but he doesn't have to take any damage on elusive. And then he causes his neighbor to ready and then fight, which is why he did the reap with the Gatekeeper first. And now the Gatekeeper runs into Tesmal. Has 2 armor, so doesn't take any damage back, since he gets a bonus off the Armor Smith.
He's got 2 armor.
Oh, yep. Sorry, I missed that guy. Yeah.
And we have a reap with the Lion Botrim, getting a second Amber. And he definitely doesn't want to use Barrister Joya, since it has the containment field on it. Doesn't want to have to discard her. What is he playing there? I think this is Martyr's End. Play, destroy any number of friendly creatures. Gain 1 Amber for each creature destroyed this way. It does get him an Amber also for playing it. He chose to destroy the what's the Beam Buckler. And then he pops the Combat Pheromones. And he gets a couple more reaps there using, I think, Shockworm and the Dominator. And now in check at 6 for his second key. Well, his opponent is only at 4 Amber, still looking for his first key. He does play, uses Lash right now to increase his opponent's keys by +3. So it looks like Robert will not be forging at the start of his turn. And here we go. Unlock Gateway, the board wipe. It's going to be an Omega, so it ends the turn, but does destroy all creatures.
Do you want to take it back?
Is that my Dominator or was that yours? That's yours. Okay.
Is it just right now?
Go ahead.
And back over to Robert. 6 Amber. And remember, he was Lash, so no forging here at the start. He doesn't have enough. But we have a nice clean board of creatures. Let's see if Robert can build that big battle line back up again before John does so on his side. And it looks like Robert did forget about his chains. So he realized he drew a new card. So let's see how they rule this here. John, his opponent, doesn't sound like he cares. He's just letting him pick a card and put it on top. But we did see at the UK Games Expo Vault Tour how they rule this now at official FFG events is if both players can't agree that they know what was the last card drawn, the opponent who drew too many cards has to reveal their entire hand and let their opponent pick a card to discard and not even shuffle back in a deck or anything like that. Just get straight up discarded. So it's kind of like your punishment for drawing too much, which we know draw in games is basically a big deal. If you're drawing extra cards, you're basically cheating, and you're gaining a big advantage if not caught. But so the kind of punishment for that, revealing your hand and let your opponent discard the extra cards of their choosing, is the way to kind of level it out. It's how they're ruling it currently at FFG events. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that below. Actually, I'm all for it. All right, we got Tentacus Blade out there, and an old Yurk causing 2 discarded cards here. Looks like he gets rid of Dharma, and he's debating the other card. And it looks like a Key Abduction, so something he's not going to pop off anytime soon, it looks like. And we see Baron on the other side was played. And the Lash was used again, of course, to prevent Robert from getting his second key, so still at 1 key to 0. Still 4 Amber on John's side after a couple turns here. Both just rebuilding after that unlocked gateway was played to reset the board.
But he's dead.
Chris, how'd you do? Nice.
Okay.
I very highly doubt I'm winning this match.
So we have a Soul Keeper played on the Baron.
He has like 5 cards that...
That is going to give him the Destroyed ability, destroy the most powerful enemy creature. Does get an Amber for playing that upgrade. And he plays Misery Exploit just to get in his discard pile, or discards it. Basically, he has 2 in the deck. But it's not hitting because he would gain 1 Amber off each damaged enemy creature, but there's no damaged enemy creatures right now. And now he's going to play a Banish and put an enemy creature into his opponent's archives. And he's going to put Tentacus there. You should gain an Amber off that.
How much amber are you at?
Yeah, he's at 8 Amber. That's what I believe is the correct number there. We did see Robert did forget a couple Amber in the last match, which was kindly pointed out in the comments. Thank you. And we'll just learn to not miss that kind of stuff. So we do see another disc turn on the right side here by John. He does play a Banished of his own to throw the Baron into his opponent's archives. And he does a couple Reaps there and a Lash, so he is in check himself. And he's, again, stopped Robert here for like the 3rd turn in a row, I believe, from being able to forge a key during the forge key step, since he's increased the cost.
I'm going to do unspeed. So I keep those to exhaust. I'm going to exhaust. Yeah. Although, because he's so powerful at the moment, I am going to...
You could never go
Because you're reflecting of so many in
Well,
the
you
way.
would die in the fight as well.
Yeah.
You've got 5, 6, so you have 7, so you've only got 2 life left anyway.
So I'm going to fight him.
And we have Schuler played. He's another disc turn on the left here. Schuler's coming in, stealing 1, of course. Pulling John off of check. And then we have a Blood Shard Imp played. After a creature reaps, its controller must sacrifice it.
Can I see your discard pile?
And John doing the pro play thing here, looking through his opponent's discard pile. He's playing Untamed. Maybe he's got a Mimicry. Actually, I should be able to just look at his deck list here and tell you. Yes, he does have a Mimicry. He does have 1. So he's probably looking for a target.
I'm going to play Rock. I know that. I'm going to play Rock Linjari. I'm going to play the Ganger Chieftain ready. I will hit.
Could copy Destroy Them All if that's still in the discard pile. To get rid of that custom virus and destroy one of the creatures in play. No upgrade to hit, obviously.
He's gone, which means like he's back.
I don't see him copying Healing Blast unless he's just looking for a single Amber. Can't use that much. So he's going to go Dis. And he's going to Lash again.
Old Yurk is going to kill.
Which I think... Is Robert at 9 yet? He uses Old Yerk to fight the Blood Shard Imp. And then Tentacus to do a Reap. And that puts him in check again with 6.
We have exactly 6 right now.
So no cards played from hand, it looks like there. So John's in that kind of awkward spot. I think he's going to keep lashing to try to get his opponent to have to spend 9 on a key. Which he is doing right now. Forging a key for 9. Didn't want to let him forge for 6. And now John can move on to naming other factions unless somehow Robert here shoots right up to 6 amber or more. And John's only way of controlling is with Lash of Broken Dreams. But I'm sure John's hoping Robert doesn't reach that checkpoint so that he can play some other faction to kind of start cycling cards in hand. And I'm sure John hopes he can forge his first key here and have Robert not stop him again. So it is now 2 keys to 0. Looks like Robert's checking his own discard pile, probably holding on to a copy of Exhume out of disc to grab a creature out of the discard pile, put it into play like it was from your hand and from the current house. So he plays another Custom Virus and a Mind Warper. He gets 1 amber off the Custom Virus. Nice pass from an opponent. So now John does have his first key forged here. So we're at 2 to 1. John's behind by a key, basically. He has to find a way to catch up here. Maybe he can get an Untamed Amber Burst turn going. But it seems like he's discarded a lot of his Untamed cards at very minimal effect or no effect at all to Old Yerk discards there. But he's actually going to take control of the Mind Warper using Hypno Beam and throw a Mind Warper of his own into play. And he's throwing around a Fixed Finger to give all other Martians +1 armor. So those Mind Warpers are 2 1s right now. But the Fixed Finger does not give himself armor, just other Martians.
Did we have an hour? We played 2 games in 8 minutes?
No, it's we have 100 minutes.
Really?
It's a little much, I think. I mean, some like they had a
Okay,
So we got Robert naming Dis, and he's going to throw a Color Subordination on Tentacus to force John to have to pay him an amber if he wants to use that Lash of Broken Dreams again. And there's the Exhume we were thinking he had in hand. He gets an amber for playing that. Goes up to 2 amber. And let's see who he's going to take out and put into play. He's looking at that Gray Rider there. He can come into play and cause one of those creatures to ready and fight. But he should have used one of them first if he's going to do that. He might do a Lion Botrum to give +2 to each of those guys. Throw him down as a deploy. No, he's going to get Barrister Joya. I think that's the best call. His opponent cannot reap. Even though Mind Warpers are actions, they can get around that. But the rest of his creatures cannot reap while Barrister Joya is there. And that will distract John, and he'll have to figure out a way to get Barrister Joya off the board.
Okay, no, I guess you started with 1 then. Sorry, what else did you play this turn? Just Exhume?
no, you know what?
No, you would have.
Yeah, they're just discussing Amber here. So I think Robert did start the turn at 1 from the Custom Virus last turn. And they're just trying to figure out if he took his Amber from Exhume, which they've worked it out, I think, correctly there. He's got 2 Amber. And he's going to do a Reap with Schuler and a Reap with Tentacus, going up to 4 Amber.
Sorry, I had to look one more time.
So John's looking through his opponent's discard pile here, still probably holding on to that Mimicry. Debating whether he wants to go untamed and use it. Now that Exhume is in the discard pile, I think it's a juicy target for that. I'm sure he's going to look through his own discard pile and try to figure out what creature he wants to put into play. See if he can get any combos going or just try to overtake his opponent here and catch back up.
I have a question. For something with Exhume, if it targets him, I can't play it because it has alpha.
Yeah, he's just John's asking the question about exhuming something with the alpha keyword, since it would not be the first thing he'd do on the turn. He would have already obviously played Mimicry to copy Exhume, and that would have been his first action. He couldn't play an alpha card. Has to be the first thing you do on the turn.
The wording, I don't think I can, because it's specifically saying playing. In alpha, you can only play this or doing nothing else.
So I think he was asking about copying Bumblebird there.
Last time I played it early and I should have held on to it, but they saved me a little bit. We can kill that. Then I'm going to.
Is there a rule with putting creatures in archives? So, for example, say if I have a banish and I banish the Tentacus, it's my card, but can it go into your archives?
Yeah, but if I take my archives, it goes back to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because there's a Zookeeper from first puts opponent's creatures in your archive, right?
Yeah.
And then when you take it, it gets returned to them, right? That's a rule in like brackets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting interactions.
So it sounds like John's debating copying Banish with his Mimicry.
Sorry, I just have a shitload of options.
He's just going through all his options here, since he's debating on if he copies Exhume, he needs to worry about his own discard pile also, not just his opponent's. He is going to name Untamed, sounds like. And here we go, Mimicry for the first action. He does copy Exhume, he got an Amber off of that.
Oh wait, no, not Exhume.
Oh, he's going to do Banish, actually.
And banish him to your archive.
Is this game 2?
Yeah, he won the first one. Let's go Camouflage. He cannot be attacked by...
And he throws Camouflage on the Mind Warper on the right flank there, so non-flank creatures cannot fight that Mind Warper. Has to be a flank creature. And looks like John's at 2 Amber now. Still a key behind, though.
I'm going to Nature's...
And now we got a Nature's Call. We know this card from first set, getting an Amber and returning up to 3 creatures to their owner's hand. He's just going to do Barrister Joya only. Doesn't want to put Schuler there, obviously, and none of his creatures seem to have come into play effects that he wants to do. And then he's going to end his turn with a Dusk Witch. And we all know this dangerous card. It is Omega, so it ends his turn. And now his creatures will come into play ready, assuming that Dusk Witch actually survives. It is elusive. And Robert is only left with 1 creature in play, so if he does not have something to destroy it out of hand, he can't just fight it and destroy it with Schuler, since he'll need to fight it twice because of elusive.
I made a mistake, I think, actually.
I'll play this. I'm gonna play Red Hot Armor.
So let's see if the Witch can survive, and if John can take advantage by playing his creatures into play ready, and maybe that will help him catch back up in this game.
Actually, yeah, I'll pick up.
And it sounds like Robert's taking his archives, which returns Tentacus. That was banished away, back to his owner's hands.
Well, first, let's do this. Custom Virus,
So he's going Mars, pops a Custom Virus.
purging a Martian soldier.
He's going to purge the Proliferator, which has the trait Martian and the trait Soldier. And that will allow him to basically destroy each creature that shares a trait with that purged creature. So he gets rid of all the soldiers and all the Martians out of play. Leaves just Dusk Witch and Old Yerk. Throws down the Baron.
Play that for the Amber. Put a stun.
Oh, sorry, he's not going Mars. Custom Virus is an Omni. He's actually going Sanctum here, and he just popped the Omni on one of the custom viruses he has in play. There's Barrister Joya back into play. And protect the weak on the Baron. John slaps down his cards in frustration as you realize Robert is building the wall again to prevent him from doing anything and also whittling down John's board. And we see a smite played there. And that will play ready and fight with a creature, deal 2 damage to the attached creature's neighbors, clearing away the Dusk Witch, of course. And that's going to be it. He's got 4 amber, passing it over to John, who's at 3 amber, but only has 1 key. Robert has 2.
Oh, that's too bad it didn't live.
Looks like Robert on the left here has like 1 card left in his deck, so he's about to cycle back through. And we got Disnamed on the right, so Lash of Broken Dreams used there. And Call of the Week. He's going to destroy the enemy's least powerful creature. He chooses Bear Sejoya. Was tied for 5 with the Schuler. But of course, it's the player's choice, the active player's choice. And I think he chose the right target there. So here comes Tentacus back into play. And who is that he just played there? Is it Spider? Yeah, that's Spider. Skirmish, and Spider gains poison while attacking enemy flank creatures. Little 2-power creature.
That is yours, by the way. Sorry about that.
He's just returning his opponent's Mind Warper back to him that he realized he accidentally put in his own discard pile after the board was destroyed there by that custom virus. And it looks like he's playing the Not Finished With You action out of Dis there. You gain an amber for that. Then he's able to basically grab, shuffle any number of creatures from your discard pile into your deck. So you can choose 0, you can choose all of them, you can choose some of them. And we see, I believe, John's deck's also down to about 1 card there. So whatever he puts here in his deck, he's going to basically draw into and most likely get to play next turn. So he does go Disc, gets a couple old Yerks there. I think that's Tesmal also. I think he's realizing he's going to get into a spot where he's going to have to do the whole Lash of Broken Dreams thing over and over again. And now he puts in Dusk Witch and some Mars creatures. I don't know if that's the way you want to go there. I mean, maybe if its opponent doesn't get on check, you can go Mars, throw out some a Fixed Finger, kind of give some armor to Martians, maybe play a couple other Mars creatures, and then go a Dis turn after that if his opponent's on check. I don't know if I had mixed it up there because he wasn't drawing that many cards.
I played him, but was he readied or did I just play him as well?
I believe you just played.
Okay.
You picked up. Yeah, I picked up my archive last turn.
Yep.
No, he skirmished and he can't call.
So Caller Subordination used here to capture Tentacus. To force John to have to pay him an amber to use that Lash of Broken Dreams again. And we got a Bloodshard Imp and a Dust Imp. Dust Imp, you guys know, destroyed, gained 2 amber. Schuler's going to reap.
Wait, what is...
And that will force Schuler to be sacrificed if he does so, based on the Bloodshard Imp being in play. And he does do a reap. And he reaps with Tentacus, so we believe he's in check now with 6 amber.
You got me.
And it looks like John is conceding. Nothing he can do there to control it. And that's it for that one. Thanks a lot for watching. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. If you have any constructive criticism, leave it in the comments below. Helps other people watching this video in the future learn from any kind of mistakes or any strategy suggestions you guys have. I will have more videos coming up on the channel, so make sure after you subscribe, you hit that little alarm bell button to be notified when the next videos come up. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can click the link in the description below. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.